Today is the day that we worship God and we give thanks, and we do that together. I'm glad that you are here, and no matter who you are or where you are on life's journey, you are welcome to worship with us this Thanksgiving Sunday. To pause and give thanks is to pay attention to the parts of living that bring delight. This practice of intentional remembering helps realign our perspective with the whole truth of our lives. This quotation comes as kind of almost an explanation of what gratitude is, of what thankfulness to God can be. And so this author describes it as paying attention. Now, I read recently a story of a woman who really wanted to write a thank you note, and she felt it was well deserved. The person had outdone themselves on whatever it was that they did, and so she wanted to be sure to handwrite a thank you note. And so she did that. She threw it in the mail, and a few days later she received a thank you card back from that individual, and she was sort of taken aback. She didn't expect anything more to come of it. And now she held in her hands a thank you note for the thank you note that she had written. And it left her only to question, does one write another thank you note to be able to cover the thank you note from the thank you note? Sometimes we get confused as to what thankfulness is and what gratitude and what this Thanksgiving week is all about, and truly a year-long practice. It almost seems transactional. Like, if I do something for you, then you should do something for me, but maybe that wasn't my intention or your intention there to receive back after doing. And so the same way with God, sometimes we say, God is the giver of all good things, and then we respond. Again, it almost feels a bit transactional rather than sort of a welling of emotion or even just the joy that stirs within when something is handed to us or something occurs in our life. And so I think rather than a transaction, gratitude is really a movement from within. And as we saw on the screen there from that quotation, we know that it begins with paying attention. And so I have a story that I'd like to read to you. It comes from November 21st, 1793, and it really focuses on paying attention to what is around us. Samuel Lane of Stratham, New Hampshire, a farmer, surveyor, shoemaker, and tanner, wrote in his diary, a journal he kept actively for 65 years. On this particular Thanksgiving Day, he rose before daylight and recorded his many mercies. And so I want to read to you now what that is all about. The life and health of myself and family, and also so many of my children. I love the way that he writes so many of his children, not all of his children, so many of his children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren, also of my other relations and friends and neighbors, for health, peace, and plenty amongst us. For my Bible and many other good and useful books, civil and religious privileges, for the ordinances of the gospel, and for my minister, for my land, house, and barn, and other buildings, and that they are preserved from fire and other accidents. For my wearing clothes to keep me warm, and my bed and bedding to rest upon. For my cattle, sheep, and swine, and other creatures for my support. For my corn, wheat, ryegrass, and hay, wool, flax, cider, apples, pumpkins, potatoes, cabbages, turnips, carrots, beets, peaches, and other fruits. for my clock and watch to measure my passing time by day and by night, wood, water, butter, cheese, milk, pork, beef, fish, etc. For tea, sugar, rum, wine, gin, molasses, pepper, spice, and money, for to buy other necessities and to pay my debts and taxes, etc. For my leather, lamp oil and candles, husbandry, utensils, and other tools of every sort, etc., etc., etc. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is written within me. Bless God's holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all God's benefits, who satisfieth thy mouth with good things, etc. And what I particularly appreciate about this is truly he is conveying that he has been paying attention to the plenty that is around him. It almost seems that he's got his diary out, his journal, and he's sort of like looking all around, and whatever he sees, he records. But it is from that perspective of paying attention that we begin to stir those feelings of gratitude, especially toward God, and we find things in which we can delight. And Sue Monk Kidd tells a story about how when her daughter was very young, her daughter had placed two presents underneath the Christmas tree, and they were intended for her, one for her mom, one for her dad. And as her mother, Sue, opened up the Christmas present from her daughter, she noticed very, very familiar silver earrings. And so she was careful to watch what her face was doing in the presence of her daughter as she was opening up her own earrings. And she just squealed with delight and said, "These are just exactly what I want, Anna. These are wonderful." And likewise, when the father had opened up his tie, which of course it was his paisley one, he loved it the most, but that was the one that she chose to wrap up and re-gift to him. And so sometimes it's also gratitude is about not only paying attention and being mindful of sort of the present moment and all that we have, but really appreciating that which is. And so Holly Whitcomb writes, abundance can be had simply by consciously receiving what already has been given. Consciously receiving all that has already been given. And so I have a question for you. What are your sources of abundance? Sources of abundance this week of Thanksgiving. And let's name now, for whoever is in the room to hear, and if you're by yourself, go ahead and shout it out. What are your sources of abundance? And let's be careful not to feature any items that actually cost money. Now, you could say sharing coffee with a friend, and that of course, requires some amount of money there, but it's more about the experience, so we would let that one pass. And so today, what are your sources of abundance? When you look at the totality of your life and you pay attention to the gifts that are already there, what comes up? What are your sources of abundance? Say them now. Sources of abundance. I can imagine many of you are saying your grandchildren, your children, your family, for even those Zoom calls that keep us connected. It's tough this week to name our sources of abundance because we may feel that we're frustrated with the pandemic and we wish things would be better, and obviously it's alarming, the statistics of those who are sick and those who have died. And so there's a certain restlessness this Thanksgiving of, we just wish we could be around our family and our friends as we had perhaps last year. And it's hard. It's hard to really pay attention and see what we do have, see the blessings before us. And so I hope that naming your sources of abundance helps you do that. We'll continue some of these series throughout our time together today.
in the smiles of the young, in the eyes of the old. I see memories I'll never forget, in the songs that I sung, in the tales that I told. Hear the echoes of how we've been blessed. And I want to thank you, Lord. Thank you for giving to me my family and friends and this land that I love, and a heart filled with warm memories. Sometimes we quarrel and don't get along, and our love is put to the test. And at times I don't want to admit when I'm wrong. I forget just how much I've been blessed. When I'm too busy and there's work to be done, and I'm tired and this house is a mess, I might find myself feeling as though I'm alone. Then I'm reminded how much I've been blessed. And I want to thank you, Lord. Thank you for giving to me my family and friends and this land that I love, a heart filled with warm memories. Sometimes I'm jealous of others I meet when they seem to have more than their share. But then I discover they too have their cross, sometimes heavier than mine is to bear. Then I look at my life and my imperfect world, and I smile though I'm feeling distressed. I thank the Lord for the life that I have. Thank God for how much I'm blessed. And I want to thank you, Lord. Thank you for giving to me my family and friends and this land that I love, and a heart filled with warm memories. At night when I think of the day I just had, and I lay my head down to rest, I keep all the good and give away all the bad, and thank God for how much I've been blessed. And I want to thank you, Lord. Thank you for all that you've done, for the riches you give to me every day, the blessings that are still to come, for the riches you give to me every day, and the blessings that are still to come.
Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come into God's presence with singing. Know that the Lord is God. It is the Creator who made us, and we are God's. We are God's people and the sheep of God's pasture. Enter the gates with thanksgiving and the courts with praise. Give thanks to God. Bless the name. For the Lord is good. God's steadfast love endures forever, and God's faithfulness to all generations.
Hi kids, it's children's time. Come on forward, come close today. Oh, it's so good to see you. Why are you looking at me kind of funny? Is it something that I'm wearing? No. Something in the background probably, huh? Oh, yes, my turkey legs here. Is that why you're looking at me so funny? Oh, well, it's just part of the fun. When we dropped off our Thanksgiving baskets this past week at church, we were all wearing these funny headbands, so I thought I'd put it on just to make sure you could see it too. How are you this week? I am missing you extra this week because it is a special week. And do you know what holiday it is that we're celebrating this week? Can you say it out loud? Not Christmas yet. We have to wait patiently for that. Yes! Thanksgiving! So I've been thinking about you a lot this week because I am thankful for you. I am thankful for who you are, how special you are, how wonderful you are, how much you matter to your family, to your church family, and certainly to me as well. So I am missing you. I am wondering, on Thanksgiving, who do we give thanks to on Thanksgiving and all throughout the year? Can you shout it out? Yes, to God, absolutely. Now raise your hand, raise it real high so I can see. Raise your hand if you can tell me if you have ever made a hand turkey. Do you have any clue of what I'm talking about? It's where you trace your fingers as the feathers, and then you've got kind of the head or the neck of the turkey on the end here. So it's like gobble, 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 gobble. That's good. Raise your hand if you've made one before. Yes. Okay. Well, if you haven't, or if you have before, or if you're an adult in the room, I would love for you to put your hand up like this, and you can put your fingers kind of loose there. It might be a little more comfortable. And what I want to do is give thanks to God with our hand turkey. Well, how we'll do this is for every single feather there and then the head of the turkey, we're going to say something that we are thankful for. So follow along, shout out what you are thankful for as we go. And we'll start with the pinky, the last feather on the turkey there. What are you thankful for? Yes, thankful for all the wonderful food that we have, absolutely, and thankful for toys. Oh my goodness, yes, they are so fun to play with, aren't they? And what else are you thankful for? Thanksgiving break. Of course you are. You've been working so hard in your classroom or at home on your screen, and you've been doing an awesome job. So you deserve that break. So do your teachers. And yes, so we give thanks to God for Thanksgiving break. We also give thanks to God that we have a school to go to, whether we go to school from home these days or actually go to the physical school. We are so thankful that we have a place where we can learn. What else are you thankful for? Recess, of course you are. It's so fun to run around, and whether it's in your backyard or on the playground, it's fun to run around with friends and just have a good time. What's the last one that you're thankful for? Yes, yes, we are so thankful for our church family, and of course we can't be together right now, but we can still be thankful that we do have a wonderful church family surrounding us, even if they aren't near. So I am thankful for all those things right along with you. And again, I am thankful for you. So have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Stay safe and make sure that you give thanks to God. And before we, well, you won't believe what I found in the offertory plate here. It's a turkey. There we go. Oh, the surprises. Let's give thanks to God by throwing in all the things for which we are thankful. Oh, wonderful. Very good. Those are some wonderful things to be thankful for. Bye, kids.
I will bless the Lord at all times. God's praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul makes its boast in the Lord. Let the humble hear and be glad. O magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt God's name together. I sought the Lord, and God answered me, and delivered me from all my fears. Look to God, and be radiant, so your faces shall never be ashamed. This poor soul cried, and was heard by the Lord, and was saved from every trouble. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear God, and delivers them. O taste and see that the Lord is good. Happy are those who take refuge in God.
When bitterness or fear or grief become the whole view, gratitude points us to the beauty also, and the love anyway, and the simple pleasures that surround, are steady companions in life's complexities. There is certainly a lot that we can be anxious about and fearful of in these days. And gratitude really is that pivot. Not that we aren't scared or aren't anxious, but gratitude is sort of that perspective, that flip for us to be able to see things differently. And as we just heard, there is plenty that gratitude points us to, and the beauty therein that we see when we are grateful. This time, the question I have for you that I want you to answer in the comfort of your home is, what surprises have come up in the last 6 months plus that we have been in the wilderness together? What surprises have come up? Where did you find unexpected beauty in the midst of the mess that is 2020? Did you start maybe healthier eating habits, and for that you are grateful, and the health of you and your family is enhanced by that? That might be a little source of beauty that has come up in a really trying year. Or maybe you rekindled a friendship with a friend that you hadn't talked to in a long time. Or maybe you rekindled a passion that you have for music or playing guitar or whatever it might be. Something new that's come along, or something that you've come to with renewed appreciation. And so, what is that source of beauty for you that you've encountered rather unexpectedly in this wilderness time? What is that? Say it out loud. And we are so thankful for those things. We are truly thankful that even in the midst of a pandemic, we can still claim gratitude for God.
As we enter the gates of Thanksgiving, through swirling winds and seas of change, we bow our heads to give our thanks. For thoughtful kindness of strangers, for compassion seen behind masks, for waves from friends and neighbors, for family near and those we miss, for this strange, still, settling peace. God of creation, be present at our tables. We are mindful that the meals before us have been blessed by the earth, the sun, and the rain. Your graciousness has sustained us. We are blessed. Your faithfulness still surprises us. We are blessed. Your mercy gives us hope. We are blessed. And now we send our thanks to you. Upon these strong November winds, let it be received as a song of our love.
wherever you've been. Come broken hearted, let rescue begin. Come find your mercy, oh sinner, come kneel. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. So lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All are broken, lift up your face. Oh wanderer, come home, you're not too far. So lay down your hurt, lay down your heart, come as you are. There's hope for the hopeless and all those who stray. Sit at the table, come taste of your grace. There's rest for the weary, rest that endures. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't cure. So lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All are broken, lift up your face. Oh wanderer, come home, you're not too far. So lay down your hurt, lay down your heart, come as you are, come as you are, fall in His arms, come as you are. There's joy for the morning, oh sinner, be still. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can heal. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. So lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All are broken, lift up your face. Oh wanderer, come home, you're not too far. So lay down your hurt, lay down your heart, come as you are. So lay down your hurt, lay down your heart, come as you are.
Gratitude that is alive to all that is, a sibling of sorrow, cousin of rage, so aware of the ache and the loss and injustice, but still seeing cause to pray. Thank you, thank you, thank you, is to feast on the nourishment of God. And let us join together now, thanking God first silently. Let us, in the silence of our own hearts, offer praise to God. And now we join together our hearts and we pray together. Thank you, God, for our sources of abundance, how they pop up as things around us, things close or even things far. We give thanks for the unexpected sources of abundance this past year that have filled us and nurtured us, that those things that have given us new life, even in the midst of atrocities and grief and loss and just difficulty. God, we thank you for those frontline workers, those essential workers who are checking us out at the grocery store, who are handling our packages, who are perhaps working behind the scenes to prepare even our Thanksgiving feasts. We give thanks for all who are in the military and often away from their families every Thanksgiving. It's hard enough for us to consider one Thanksgiving away, one holiday away from our families, but we consider also the number of service people who are continuously away from their families. So we give thanks and ask for their safety and for you to be with their families back home. Oh God, we give thanks for every single healthcare worker, every single nurse, doctor, everyone who is working beyond themselves right now to care for those in overcrowded hospitals, no doubt with more on the way, oh God. This is a time of crisis, God, and we continually feel uncertain and just this deep sense of loss. And so we thank you, even in the midst of all that there is much that we do have to give thanks for. We give thanks for the homes and the roofs above our heads, for the people in our lives who make living worth it. We give thanks for every intervention that has been made possible, especially in these last 6+ months. Interventions so that sobriety would not be interrupted, so that many of our friends and even ourselves would stay away from our addictions, our triggers. We're thankful for the interruptions that have stopped violence, that have stopped self-harm. Oh God, for all who are struggling financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically right now, for the many who are sick, for the many who are unable to gather together with loved ones to collectively grieve, for the family of Ray Marsh, whose life we honored last weekend, for the many in our congregation with aches so deep, for the many on our prayer list. And God, we leave you space. Leave each of us space, cracks, silence in which we trust you will work. Give care to each of us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We continue our prayer now in a prayer that we know well, and a new twist on it.
Hi, church friends. Michael Hunt here. I'd like to share a version of the Lord's Prayer with you today that I've gotten great inspiration from. It is written in plain modern English, which is in keeping with our church's philosophy of closest to God. It's a paraphrased version from a poster from St. James Catholic Church, Franklin, Wisconsin, circa 1995. The author is unknown. Let us pray. Our Father, living in heaven, how wonderful you are. May your plans for this world really come true. May things happen here on earth the way you want them to, just as they do in heaven. Please give us all we need to live a full life. And don't hold our mistakes against us, just as we promise not to hold other people's mistakes against them. Don't let our wickedness get the better of us, but give us your strength. Amen.
Hello to all my family at my church. I'm here to talk about why it's important to give to the church in these times. I believe it's very important to give to our church at this time. There are many ways to give. There's so many different ways to participate in the life of our church and to give to our church. But it's especially important to keep up with our donations. We need to fulfill our word. We need to keep up what we've been doing. There are many people out there who need our help, and the way to do that is to make sure that we are up to date and continuing to give to our church. Thank you.
I read again to you these words I shared with you just prior. Abundance can be had simply by consciously receiving what has already been given. And so go from this place, giving thanks to God even in the midst of difficulty. Go forth to pay attention, to recognize the many and abundant sources of God's provisions. Go forward from this place to notice and to pay attention to the gifts that already exist in our lives. And may the peace of Christ ever be with you as you go forward. And stay tuned next week, because we will celebrate the very first Sunday of Advent. And so now we have the end of what we call the lectionary cycle, the end of year A. It is New Year's Eve. If you are in the liturgical mindset, we are in the New Year's Eve. Year A is when we focus. We have a 3-year cycle in the lectionary. It allows us to go through kind of the entire Bible, at least the bits, high points, if you will. And we typically in year A hear lots of stories from Matthew's gospel. And so then we will move into Mark's gospel. It's the shortest, so maybe that's good news. In year B, I don't know. And then year C is Luke's gospel with John, the gospel of John interspersed there. And so Happy New Year in terms of the liturgical calendar. We'll start a fresh church calendar year next week, and we light that first candle of Advent. As you leave today, I do want to just show you this picture. And this is Nora from our church, and she is putting together her Thanksgiving tree, and your family also should have already received one, and you can start to put that together this week if you haven't already done so. And you can also put together in that same packet you had an Advent wreath, and go ahead and assemble that. And certainly be checking the calendar that we've shared with you families. You can certainly dive into that starting next Sunday. And we certainly have those Advent devotionals for you that we've made available. If you still would like one, you can certainly contact us to have us get one to you. And so all the many, many ways for you to engage your faith in this wilderness time, but also this Advent season that is upon us. And I give thanks for you.